Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter the illusion of linear time and rebuild our entire understanding of the Quran. We're looking at it as a living, breathing blueprint. We're talking about a structural reality that completely reframes human history, moving all the way from the concept of the absolute servant, the abd, to the corrupter, the guy.
Okay, let's dive right into this. It's so incredibly common to look at ancient texts as just, well, exactly that, right? Dusty chronicles of the past, stories about people who lived thousands of years ago. It's that dismissive attitude you see mentioned in verses 16, 24, and 25, calling it mere tales of the ancients. But what the sources reveal today is that this text, it's not a historical ledger at all. It's actually a biological map of our very souls, and it's happening right now. To really grasp this, we've got to wrap our heads around the concept of an eternal memory tesseract. Basically, this means the text is a sealed, continuous reality. It's the sealed tongue of Muhammad, uttered first and preserved last. In this framework, time isn't just a linear progression from point A to point B. No, it's a closed loop. It's an event that is actively occurring right at this very moment. Literally, you are standing inside this eternal structure today. So when you read it, remember, that is Allah's sentence. That is your Rasul talking, and it is your direct emanat, your sacred trust, speaking to you right now in the present tense.
Section 1. The double helix, the primordial covenants. So let's get into our main biological metaphor here, because the narrative of humanity in the text is structured exactly like cosmic DNA. Think of a double helix. The crucial point is, before time even began, every single one of us started at the exact same axis point. You'll find this shared axis in Surah 7, verse 172. At that precise origin, every soul answered bala, meaning yes, to the primordial covenant. And this happened before any biological lineage formed, before any earthly separation even existed. That single origin point, that is the spine around which all of human history continuously spirals. Section 2. The two strands, the book versus tagut. Now, from that single identical axis point we just talked about, humanity basically splits into two continuous anti-parallel strands that wrap around that shared spine. On one side, we have strand 1, the book lineage. These are the abd, the servants. This is the unbroken chain carrying the trust. Twisting right alongside it, though, is strand 2, the tagut lineage. This is the corruption vector. These are the ones who fall into khay, building false centers and just making excuses based on their forefathers. Let's look a bit closer at strand 1. This lineage is traced through the chosen houses mentioned in Surah 333, Adam, Nuh, Ibrahim, and the family of Imran, and the whole thing culminates beautifully in Surah 19. But, and this is absolutely crucial to understand, strand 1 is never a biological shortcut. It's never inherited just by blood. Surah 2:124 explicitly confirms that the covenant does not reach the wrongdoers. And then 2:134 proves there's no vicarious earning across generations. Meaning, your bloodline doesn't grant you a free pass to the covenant. The position of the servant has to be earned. And this brilliantly illustrates how strand 2 operates. Remember, it originates from the exact same primordial covenant. It isn't some outside force. It's simply the alternate choice. It immediately names the corruption vector at 717.3, which is the excuse of the forefathers, blindly following past generations instead of the actual truth. This strand is totally continuous, twisting right alongside strand 1, and it surfaces explicitly at Surah 19:59. That verse describes the successors who neglected the prayer, followed their own desires, and ultimately met Guy, which is total failure and corruption. Section 3. The rungs of choice and the genetic fork. So, you might be wondering, how do these two separate strands actually interact? How does a person end up on one or the other? Well, this brings us to the structural rungs. The strands are connected by what's called the kubula or la-mutakabel fork. Think of this like the rung on a DNA ladder. It's a recurring generational crosslink where both strands are simultaneously available from the exact same offering point. This fork isn't just a one-time historical event. No, it happens synchronically, over and over again. From the exact same starting point, acceptance is granted to one path and rejected from the other, based entirely on the human response. Let's move to how this builds across time. Because human history is really just a series of these recurring structural forks, repeating the exact same test. Look at generation 1, with Adam's sons. They both make an offering, one is accepted, one is rejected. The DNA forks. Fast forward to generation 2.
Ibrahim faces the fire, but the element is overridden into coolness, proving the book lineage. By generation 3, Pharaoh attempts to build a false elevation, a tower, but the water claims him, leaving only his physical body behind as an empty sign.
We can actually see this diachronic proof right there in the text itself. In Surah 19, verse 58, seals the chosen prostrating lineage of the prophets. And then, the very second that chosen lineage is completed, the chapter immediately shows the lineage forking again in verse 59, revealing the corrupted successors. It's phenomenal proof that the covenant is never just closed, it's perpetually reopened for every new generation to answer.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how Teghut, that corrupted strand 2, always tries to build permanence, but it's systematically neutralized and dissolved every single time. Look at the mechanisms of disposal. Azar's stone fails the test of sound and is neutralized. Samiri's golden calf is burnt and scattered into the sea. Lut's people are inverted and baked mute. Pharaoh builds this massive tower to reach the heavens, but water claims him, and only his body is preserved as a static, hollow warning. The takeaway? False elevation simply never stands.
Section 4. The base layer of the servant and the bond of Rushed.
All of this forces us to ask, what actually determines which strand a human node falls onto at these rungs? What keeps someone anchored to the book lineage? Well, it is absolutely not about formal titles. We really have to separate the formal prophetic title, which is just what someone is sent to deliver, from the base layer of abd, the servant. Formal titles do not save you. Zakariya is named abdahu, his servant, before any prophetic designation. And Asa's very first words from the cradle are inni abdu'llah, I am the servant of Allah. Servanthood is established way before any title or book is given. So, the binding glue of that DNA rung, the actual thing that keeps a soul attached to the book lineage, is a concept called rushed. Rushed is direct from source knowledge. It's a deep structural integrity that physically pulls a node toward prostration, preventing that soul from slipping into the corrupted footsteps of strand 2.
To see just how vital this is, take a look at this incredibly powerful moment from Surah 1866. Musa, who held the highest formal rank in the entire corpus, encounters an untitled servant. But Musa doesn't command him. Instead, he asks, "Shall I follow you for rushed?" Even with his incredibly high formal title, Musa knew he had to seek out this specific structural bond from a pure servant just to maintain his own alignment.
Section 5. The present tense. Activating your node. So what does all of this mean for us today? Let's bring this entire topological metaphor straight into the present moment. Because this isn't just theory, this is about you. The covenant is reopened right now, in the present tense, for you, the reader, to answer. You're not just reading a book about ancient people. You are standing at the exact fork in the DNA right now. You possess the exact same bala, the exact same origin point of the covenant as the prophets did.
Let's summarize the stakes here. Every single human starts at that single covenant of 717. The double helix of history twists straight through today. The rungs of the fork are appearing in your life right now, demanding a choice. And you are separated from the lineage of corruption only by the grip of rushed. You've got to actively use your akal, your pattern recognition, as mentioned in 10-100, to wake up from the illusions of tagut and secure your place on the right strand. And the sources actually give us the ultimate activation command to do this. It's the specific torque required to grip the book and lock your node onto the book lineage. You'll find it in 1912. "O Yahya, take the book with strength." That is the command to stop being passive. It's a call to actively grip the structural integrity of the text. Which brings us to our final question. The cosmic DNA is twisting. The rungs are continually offering you the choice. The book is right in front of you, waiting to be taken with strength. So, when will you activate 1912?